real quick, I did notice I accidentally got the tie in there up here. So what I can just do is I can just select it. And then if you click on the hue saturation map, you can click on this little black and white picture next to it, and you can paint it black. And what that is that's the mask that determines what is and isn't changed by the hue saturation and brightness contrast map. So what black means is that it won't be changed by whatever changes you have on the hue saturation or brightness contrast map. What white means is that it will be changed by that. As you can see, I painted that white. And if you do somewhere in the middle, it'll only be changed a little bit. And that's usually just used for making sort of gradients or transitions between different colors. But I'm going to hide these for now, and I'm going to figure out where the vest is on the UV map. I believe that this is the vest. Yes, I was right, that is the vest. So, what I can do then is I can just, once again, turn up that so I can just see a little better. And then just select the vest on the texture. So that's basically the entire process of changing the colors of textures, and this can be applied to pretty much any texture in any game. And this process is also useful for changing specific colors on textures in DMC5, or just any RE Engine game in general. So I'm going to just time-lapse through me doing this. Okay, so I'd say I'm pretty satisfied with how the textures came out. I like the colors that I chose, and I think that it would look pretty good in the game. So, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to show you how to apply everything into the game. So, for the case of the game that I yoinked this mama from, Final Fantasy 15, it luckily has the metallic roughness and subsurface maps all in one, right here. So, what a lot of games will do is they will put the same types of maps onto different channels. So if you go from layers to channels, you can see, you know, what it looks like with RGB. So that's what it looks like by normal. You can click on red and you can see how the red channel looks. And so what this is this is the metallic channel. You can click on green and this is the roughness channel. That's what you use on the normal map. And you can click on blue and this is the subsurface channel. I'm going to ignore this because just by default, a lot of the channels in DMC5 don't have subsurface turned on. So I'm going to go and look for the normal map and actually copy over the roughness channel because I'm not really a big fan of the metallic channel either. So if I go and look for an out, that would be normal map. And one thing I do want to note is that it is important to know what type of normal map you're working with. If you're working with an OpenGL normal map or a DirectX normal map. The reason being is that the depth of the bumps is inverted on each one. And I'm gonna throw up a quick picture that shows basically what I mean. If you're not really used to like looking at normal maps and reading them basically, you're gonna be like, well, what the fuck does that mean? What does that have to do with me? But eventually, after doing this for a while, you'll understand what it means. And you can always figure out, oh, if a texture is OpenGL or if it's DirectX. And in the case of Final Fantasy 15, it runs on DirectX. However, for whatever fucking reason, Square Enix decided to make the textures OpenGL. So, if you want to invert the roughness of a normal map, just go to channels, choose the red channel, and press Control-I to invert them, green channel, and Control-I. And that inverts the depth of it, so that way it matches with DMC5. And it has a completely blank alpha channel. So now, you're just going to paste over the roughness map from wherever you obtained it from, and now you have a working normal map that will work in DMC5. And so I'm just going to save that as a TGA, and I'm actually going to drop it in right there. I'm going to drop it in the body folder so that way I can quickly export it, and I'm just going to name it whatever the Dante wants to name it. I'm just going to assign it to the body underscore nrmr.x.tga. And there we go. We're all good to export. And in terms of the Eidos map, which is the map that has ambient occlusion, what I usually like to do is I usually just like to make a new one. So real quick, I'm actually going to export this to the DMC5 texture format. A quick note about how the alpha channels work is that for the metallic maps, black is not metallic at all. White is completely metallic. For the roughness map, it is actually the opposite. So white is no roughness at all, or glossiness in this case. Black is completely super glossy. It's important to write that down somewhere just so that way you can remember it until like you're totally 100% used to it. So I'm just going to save this to a TGA. Once again, I'm going to go up to the... Oh, went too far again. To the Dante mesh. I'm just gonna take this, name it. Nope, that is not an Eidos file. See, sometimes you just kind of get these things mixed up when they're in your mind and stuff happens, but it is what it is. So I'm just gonna scroll. I did it again. Wow, okay. Just gonna go back up. Yellow100 underscore ALBM effects.tga. So Eidos channels are actually a bit unique, and when I make my Eidoses, I actually prefer to just do custom Eidos. So I'm just going to name it RGB color, make it 1024 by 1024. So the thing about Eidos maps is that they are a lot like the map that I showed you earlier from Final Fantasy 15, in which instead of having like a normal like color map and then an alpha channel, everything is divided into each channel. So red controls the transparency, or red controls the transparency. Green controls a lot of different things, but usually in the case of DMC5, it controls the glow. And blue is the channel that we're interested in, because it controls the occlusion, which is, like I said, the shading. And it's pretty easy to make your own occlusion maps if your game doesn't have an occlusion map. Final Fantasy 15s do have an occlusion map, but I don't really like them, and I just prefer to make them. So if you want to make an occlusion map, it's pretty stinking easy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge the layers, unlock the background layer, select all, copy, and then I'm going to undo all of that so that way they're back to separate layers. And then I'm going to make a new layer and copy that over. And it looks like I didn't do anything, but it's just so that way I can have all the original layers if I need to go back and change something. Then you're going to want to go to Image, you're going to want to go to Adjustments, click Desaturate, and then, once again, Image, Adjustments, and choose the levels. And what I usually do is I usually try to match the levels onto either side of these sort of black spikes up here. And then I usually change the output levels to just generally be lighter, because it usually just looks better that way if you have a lighter ADOS channels and you don't go too crazy on the shading. And then next, what I like to do is I go to Filter, I go to Blur, I go to Surface Blur. And I usually set it anywhere from the radius from anywhere from like 5 to 10. I'm a little over 10. And I set the threshold to be about 11. And then I just copy that over to the new untitled one. I paste it onto the blue channel. And boom, just like that, we have our occlusion channel. Handmade by us. And if there's anything you want to edit, like in my case, like I could edit this vest so that way like these sides have more shading on them, because that would be where the sort of suit jacket would fall, but I don't feel like doing that because I'm lazy. And it's pretty much the exact same thing for the other channels. If you want to do a custom glow on a certain part, like let's say I want to glow on the vest, I would just make everything white, and then I would make the vest blue, or not blue, black, and I copy it over into the green channel. And it's the same for transparency. If you want something to be transparent, white is solid, black is transparent. So do with that as you will. So now we're all good to save this. I'll save it as an ADOS body.ADOS. And so now I have all the textures for the top all ready to go, and I'm just going to dick around with the textures on the pants and probably the shoes, and I will be back once I'm done with that to show you how to export back to the RE Engine format. Okay, so it took me a month to do those textures, but now we